Welcome to Cuemby Podcast, brought to you by Cuemby, where we celebrate the remarkable contributions of technology leaders. We will dive into the stories of pioneers who are not just navigating but shaping the future of technology. Join us as we uncover their path, the challenges they have overcome, and the innovations they are leading. So make yourself comfortable, tune in, and let's embark on this journey of discovery and empowerment. Welcome to Cuemby Podcast, Woman in Tech series brought to you by Cuemby. Today, we are thrilled to have Kelly Quijano, co-founder of Smartsy, with us. Thank you, Kelly, for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Itomi. I'm happy to be here.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I'm just gonna go right in. So you are two times TechStars founder, and
Yes.
now working on this amazing startup Smartsy. And
Yes.
I believe that this automates creatives for small businesses to drive engagement and a revenue, correct?
Correct. What Smartsy does is it enables small businesses to instantly create brand cohesive marketing graphics for social media. So for their Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever social media channel they use.
Great. Yeah, I'm sure it's a very niche market, and that there's a
Yeah.
great need for that particular service. So
Yes.
yes, definitely. So you have a very unique background, and then that led you to this amazing
That's one
project.
way to say it. Yes.
Yes. So so you have a background in
Mhm.
design, and also worked in that role before switching your career to tech in 2012,
Yes.
correct? Yes.
Yes.
And
Around that
then
time.
great. And then you launched a website focused on secondhand apparel, and after
Mhm.
that you taught yourself coding.
Yes.
So it's very unique. It's not a traditional tech
Sh-
career.
Sure.
So yeah, so I'm
I
just curious, like what inspired you to move into the tech space?
Sure. So, well, I'm not very traditional, so it kind of makes sense that my career path wasn't either. I was living in New York around 2010, and I don't remember how I stumbled into it, but I think I started reading Fred Wilson's blog while I was working in the fashion industry, and I just got really caught up in the whole kind of zeitgeist of that time in New York. The tech scene was just kind of starting in New York or becoming more mainstream. There were a lot of people being very vocal about it, including Fred and others, and there were so many meetups. So I got really swept into this idea that, oh, I was working at a corporate job in fashion, which it was soul killing. And I got caught up in this idea that, oh, we can build things and they'll change the world. And, we have all of these, we're not just like these big corporations. We're doing things on our own terms and helping, doing something that's not damaging, to the world. We're making the world a better place. So I got caught up really in that moment and in that philosophy, and it made me really just get excited about all the possibilities that
Mhm.
were happening with kind of that wave of technology. There was Airbnb and a company called Grub with Us that it no longer exists, but there were so many companies that I got excited about, and I wanted to be a part of that.
I see. So
Yeah.
you learn how to code by yourself, and
Well,
then
I
dive.
didn't learn to code first. I had this idea that you should be able to. Well, my first idea was I should sell all of my ex-boyfriend's things online. So that's kind of where we started, but it really morphed into a secondhand clothing
Mhm.
website. So that's what I started with. I ended up kind of going through the things a lot of first time founders go through, like, how do I find a technical co founder and how do I, launch this? So, how do I get people to invest in this idea, you know? So I went through a lot of that back then. I went
Mm-hmm.
to I was networking like crazy in New York. I was going to a lot of like tech meetups, and anytime there was a talk or something, I would be there. So that was what led me into the technology world. And um, we ended up going through Techstars Boulder with that company, and yeah, it was fantastic. But what I learned, one of the biggest lessons I learned at that point, is if I want to stay in this world, or if I want to play in this world, I really need to learn how to code. And I don't need to be the the amazing hacker, but I need to understand it. And so yeah, so that led me, I took, I forget, I think it was a girls who code, or something like that. I took a class there on kind of basic HTML, CSS, and then I would just teach myself, anything online. I think there was a Ruby tutorial that was popular, that you kind of recreated Twitter with. So I built that, and then I rebuilt an application, from scratch, just to teach myself kind of the basics. So yeah, that was really how um, I ended up learning to code and teaching myself.
Wow, that's amazing. Actually, that's how I got into coding too. This in the
Oh,
digital
really?
world. Yes, yes,
Okay, so you
yes.
didn't study technology either, or
No.
computer science.
Yes,
Self-taught.
definitely. Yes, I did end up going to the code boot camp, but
Okay.
I completely agree with you. In this digital world, you need to be computer literate. You don't have
Yep.
to be a
Yep.
hacker, but be able to
Yes.
understand how it works. And I agree with you 100%.
Yep. Yeah, and
Yes, so
I agree, and I think it just helps to, I know my current co-founder. We've been working together for over 5 years, and just kind of knowing what his job is like, and kind of the challenges he has to face, it really helps that relationship,
mhm.
and helps us kind of avoid some of the things a non-technical co-founder would have with a technical co-founder, some of the issues that they might have.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. Yes, good point. So, what happened to the business?
Well, we weren't able to raise capital, and that it was a time that was actually great for raising capital. It was, I believe we finished Techstars Boulder in 2012, and by that time, many companies had kind of come cropped up doing the same thing we were doing. They were better funded. Um, we had kind of a lot of first time mistakes. So it was a really kind of a combination of different things. And we ended up kind of having to shut down. My co-founder and I split up, during Techstars Boulder. And then, yeah, it kind of was a whole combination of things, but really we weren't able to
Mhm.
raise capital going forward. And so it was one of the, you run out of cash, and you have to close the
Mhm.
business. So, so yeah, so that was that whole experience. But obviously I learned many, many things from it.
I see, I see. And then with the knowledge and experience you gained from the first business, you open Smartsy. And
Exactly.
then, yes.
No, it wasn't a straight line. It wasn't like, okay, we close that now. Let's start Smartsy. As I had kind of gotten a little jaded by the tech world then, because I was so excited about these people who really cared about changing the world. And I, as many people realize, it's another, you have to build a company, and it's these are for-profit things, and you have to generate massive returns for your investors. Um, so I did not immediately jump back in. I tried some other things. I worked as a head of product for a guy out in California, and built some internal software tools for his company. And that's how I ended up meeting my current team. And it wasn't really until I was like, I had the itch, and had a problem, and I had assembled this team, which is so important, that I knew that we could build something awesome together. So that was kind of when I decided to go back in. So, because there was a pretty long period of time between, my first startup and my second startup. So it wasn't just like, oh, I must have a startup. It was really, oh, taking this time, doing other things, meeting the right team, learning to code, like kind of all these other things that prepared me
Mm-hmm.
for when kind of the next thing struck, the next opportunity, that we were in a really good position to move forward.
I see. Wow. So everything kind of, um, come together for
It
this to
it
happen.
did, like, all of these
Mhm.
experiences that I was like, "These are just random, and it doesn't make sense, and my path doesn't make sense." It all makes sense now.
I
So,
see.
working on
Wow.
Smart C. Yeah.
I see. So Smartsy is such a like niche market, right, for small
Mhm.
businesses with
Exactly.
no dedicated marketing team or social
Mhm,
media team.
mhm.
So I would like to know, like, how did you find this niche, and then at what point you decided, okay, this is the project that
Sure,
I will dedicate my time and resources into.
sure. So the path that led there was, we had this great team, and we kind of knew what our strengths were, and it was design. Obviously, I started in design. I have a background in that, and so did one of the core people on our team. He was an amazing UI UX person, and then we had also been working with these amazing graphic designers. So we knew our strength was design and graphics. And so we really started out doing cards and invitations. So,
Mhm.
like, happy birthday, Atomi, hope you have a great day, that kind of thing. We were at first looking at, Evite and Paperless Post and these kind of companies that have been around for 10 plus years, where it just felt kind of like a dinosaur now, like, okay, well, we can do this better. And when we got into building that, one of the key moments for me was meeting the managing director of Techstars Miami, a guy named Andreas Barreto. And when I met him, we really started to focus on customer discovery. Like,
Mhm.
okay, we've built this kind of cool tool, but what problem are we solving? And
Mhm.
so that's when we started to really talk to a lot of people, and um, really changed our focus for graphics for small businesses, because we kept hearing over and over and over again how painful the process was, for non-expert designers. And
Mhm.
um, the current tools that are on the market that are marketed as, oh, we're an easy tool, anybody can design, we make design accessible for everyone. Well, it really wasn't true. So,
Mhm.
they made design easier, and that is
Mhm.
100% true. They made design a lot easier for people who may have started on an Adobe product,
Mhm.
that you really have to kind of be an expert designer to figure out. So it did make design easier, but it did not make it accessible for everyone. And so what we wanted to do is, okay, we're going to make it, we're in 2024. The world should work where I don't have to go and customize a template. I don't have to,
Mhm.
put in my brand colors every time I want to do something. I should just be able to tell you what my business does, and then I get graphics, that make sense for our business. So that's kind of, we started in this cards and invitations, but really kind of discovered this huge problem that was shared by many different small business owners. So that's why we decided to focus there.
Mhm.
Which,
Yes.
yes, is
Yes.
niche, but it's also a really huge market. So
Oh yes, definitely. Yes, I used the beta version of the software, the first
okay.
steps, and it's so intuitive to use.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I yes, it's amazing. And
Mhm.
as a small business owner, I am somewhat technical, but I can imagine that those people who are kind of proficient in computer can do like words in Excel, and but not so much, not familiar with the
Mhm.
designs or how to create assets. I think it's a great tool, very
Uh,
intuitive, like no knowledge or experience required. So I can see how much effort you put into like customer discovery.
yes. yeah, it's been huge, and it's ongoing. We didn't, like, once we figured out the problem, we didn't just stop with customer
Mhm.
discovery. So I just before I we had this call, I just had another customer discovery call because we're in this
Oh,
process where we're iterating and just making it easier and better and making sure that we have all the things that small business owners need to really make these graphics stand out. So,
I see. Great. And then do you use any particular technologies like AI? Because I know AI is a big
It's
thing now, and
everywhere.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, I almost feel silly. We bought AI because it was cheap. We did not, because everyone's going to be using AI. Like, AI is now a part of our life. It's going to be a part of every technology company that exists. So it almost feels silly saying we're powered by AI because everybody is powered by AI or should be or will be. So it wasn't, but when I looked at smartsea.com, it was $10,000. So,
Wow.
yeah, which isn't a terrible price for such a great domain name, but it wasn't in our budget. So we went for smartsea.ai. And yeah, so we did that. We do use AI. It's really interesting. We kind of started with this model of well, oh, everyone's going to want to use natural language. Like, I would like an Instagram post for a sale that I'm having on Saturday. But when we tested that, it didn't really go over well. Like, people, the prompting was hard, which so we realize we don't want to make the person, our users, our customers, have to learn a
Mhm.
different tool. So the idea was to make it super simple, not that they, instead of learning, how to use Canva or Adobe, that they have to learn how to use Smartsy and learn how to prompt. So we went back and redid a lot of things that just make it really natural. So you don't really even notice AI at work, but we do. We've integrated with GPT. We're looking at other generative AI models for stock images and things like that, things that can really personalize a small business's account. So we're using it in many different ways, and yeah, we'll see where it goes and what develops and how, because there's still a long way to go with a lot of generative AI. So it's most of our platform is custom, but we obviously are using it where we can and where it makes sense, and where it makes our product, 1,000 times better.
Mm, I see. That's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Mhm.
It is. My one of my biggest hobbies is mid journey. So I
Okay.
just think generative AI is so much fun, and I'm
Mhm.
really excited about the possibilities of what it's going to bring. Yeah.
Definitely. Yes, to at this point, I think in manipulating AI, you still need to have your thoughts and creativity, or seed of creativity. And then,
Yeah. Yeah,
yes.
everybody's kind of really focused on, well, you can't buy creativity, and AI can't be creative, and I really think it can be. And I think it can enhance creativity, and so I'm in a lot of customer discovery interviews that I've done. A lot of people are still really kind of hesitant to think that AI can replace creativity. And I'm not sure. I think it can, for non-creatives, it's going to make you much more creative. So I think it'll be very few people who it doesn't, help with
Mm.
creativity.
See, yes, yes, I agree with you on that point. So switching gear a little bit.
Sure.
So, okay. So, we recently attended an event that for women founders to pitch our ideas, startup
Woohoo.
idea to the community. Yes, it was a fun event.
It was.
Yes, it was a fun event. And then at the event, the organizer mentioned only 2% of VC funds go to a woman founder. And
Yeah.
then, of course, when I go to tech events, I don't see many women. And I
Yeah.
know it's challenging still. We are in 2024.
Yes.
but it is challenging for women to break into the industry. So, as
Yes.
a woman, two times Techstars founders, building this amazing startup in tech, I would like to
Yes.
know how do you navigate being a woman in this male-dominated industry, and if you have any advice for young women aspiring to enter the tech industry.
So that is a super complicated question that I'm not sure I'm qualified to answer, but I can tell you my experience. There are You can't argue with the numbers, right? You can't argue. Um, what I do see is I actually in the 10 years, of 2010 when that's more like 14 years. So, in the years since I started really immersing myself in this world, I do see a lot of positive change. I actually, even though it's not a lot of women, there are more women. I used to be the only one. There were not events like we had where we met last week, where there were several really like high caliber founders pitching. Um, there wasn't, I don't think, any of that. It was kind of talked about, but not really. There were not as many female VCs. That's also changed now. My cap table, I think, is majority women right now. And then there's programs like Techstars that has really, focused on diversity, and I see real change in that. So the numbers are really kind of hard to digest, and I know that it's true, and I've been in plenty of meetings with VCs where I'm not taken seriously, or, they think, oh, it's a really cute thing you're working on. But I also see change, so I'm a little hopeful. Yeah, I don't know if you are a woman entering this world. Um, yeah, you just have to do it. Like I have to ignore the numbers, because if I woke up every morning and said to myself, "Oh, only 2% of women are going to be funded," I feel like I'm already defeated. And so I try to um, not think about that when I'm making my lists. But I have noticed that women are more likely to say yes to me, and and also too, a lot of women tend to understand the industry and the market that I'm going after better. So uh, I yeah, it's just such a big topic that I don't
Mm-hmm.
really have the greatest answer. I do see like positive signs of change,
Mm-hmm.
but then I also, I see, okay, well, it's a lot easier. I see some things that I don't like. I was our Techstars class in Miami was very diverse, so it was amazing. But I was still the only woman CEO and the only woman pitching on the stage. And I think in 2012, when I went through Boulder, there were two women pitching on stage, out of 12 or 10. So I feel like there hasn't been, like, even though they're trying, even though there were more females in our class and other roles, there were not many female CEOs. And I don't blame people. Like, if my co-founder is male, and but he is the CTO. If he were in the US, I would probably make him the CEO and go pitch, just because I know the numbers and I want us to be successful. Um, but he's not here. He's in the Ukraine, and he's stuck there. So I'm the one that has to fundraise. So yeah, I don't know if you have any more like specific questions or experiences, but I have a lot of of kind of experience navigating this.
Definitely. I agree with you. I had instances where I was dismissing the call, and then
Yeah.
people went straight to my co-founder, who is a male,
Mhm.
to talk.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
was the one who was supposed to answer. These are small instances, but to
Mhm.
me, I just try not to think about it. This is what it is. And then there's a goal that I want to achieve, and I'm just going to focus on the goal.
Yeah.
But
And I
yes.
Yeah, and I think as more of us have success, like there's so many, when I first started, there weren't that many amazingly successful female tech founders, and now there are. Like there's been several women founders that have IPO'd or have massively successful companies like Canva, or Bumble or Rent the Runway. There's just so many examples now that we have, and that I think helps, pull more women into this game, and bring more founders, and it just helps the whole cycle. And then they become LPs and VCs, or and so it just really helps, get more women into the tech world. And also too, I'd say you don't have to be in this world either, like if you want to be great, but it's a fun place to play around. But I think there's so many other industries as well that might be appealing to women.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And then meeting you at the event last week was
Yes.
very inspiring. And especially you have a very amazing background in creating this startup, and work talking to you has been very, very encouraging. And
Thank
it made me feel like, okay, if she's putting efforts and try to make this happen, I can do it. So
Yeah.
this
Oh, thank you.
yes, it has been such an amazing experience for me. So thank you.
Thank you. I know, I really appreciate that. It's funny, you put yourself out there, day in and day out, and it's hard, but I'm glad, at least for you, it was inspiring. So,
Yes, thank you very much. So, so briefly, I would like to highlight how Cuemby supports and empowers women in tech through this initiative and also the platform. And in Cuemby, we are committed to simplify cloud-native technologies and Kubernetes and empowering developers and organizations of all sizes. And we are especially proud to support women in tech through this podcast and the communities we have built. And then I think our platform encourages women, not only women, but the developers and engineers to be able to innovate faster. And then I want this podcast to be in a place where we can encourage women to be able to, get encouraged and then be
yeah.
able to pursue their inspirations and aspirations. And so, I hope that this podcast will help women who have great ideas and great in working in technologies to be able to pursue their goals and dreams. So,
And
yeah.
I'm sure it will. You never know what little girl or woman or teenager is going to find this on the internet and just be like, oh, I can build something too. This is an option for me. So yeah, I think the work you're doing is important.
Yes, thank you very much. So before we close, is there anything that you would like to share with the listeners about your tech journey that
No,
you
the
have for?
only the only thing I would say is keep going, like keep going no matter what. Like you get rejected 50 times, keep going. Something in your product is buggy, doesn't work, you failed, like just keep going is the only advice that I would have.
Mm, okay, the resilience and perseverance. Yes.
Exactly.
Okay, great. Thank you very much,
Thank
Kelly.
you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
joining
Atani.
us today. Yes,
Thank
and
you. It's been great.
wonderful. Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing your incredible, incredible journey and also insights. And then to our listeners, thank you so much for listening in. Thank you.
Thank you.